What's up, everybody? Crimson here, back with another video, and today I got a Arma Reforger guide for you guys. It's been a while, I haven't updated one in forever, so figured now was the best time. So I'm not gonna waste you guys' time. It is a bit of a long video, so for starters, you're gonna want to head to your settings up in the top right, and we're gonna want to go and make sure that our quality preset is set to performance, and just leave 2D scopes set to off, as well as audio. You're gonna want to, now this is me personally, but honestly I would set dialogue up to 100% and then lower everything else a little bit. Voice chat is also another thing that I would probably lower quite a lot, just because the radio in game can be kind of loud when other players are talking. Sometimes it is an online game where anyone can join, sadly, so you'll get people just screaming, sadly. So tinnitus, I would leave that on, honestly, just because it makes it more realistic. That's when a grenade goes off and you hear the ringing in your ear. Honestly, if it just bothers you, you can turn it off. Stereo processing mode, honestly, this is totally up to you. I just stick with headphones. I think most people play with headphones. If you do play without headphones, and well, I guess you don't need it on. For your HUD, this is really mostly optional. I keep it to on unless I'm getting clips or something, that I have it to hide all, which just makes it look more immersive since you won't have all those HUD elements on screen. So you can, thankfully, there's a show all and show hide all option. So that's there. For gameplay, obviously, for this, keep crossplay on. You're gonna have a pretty hard time finding a lot of servers that are not crossplay for PlayStation 5 for now, so it's just honestly better to keep it to crossplay on. Also, it's just more fun. It's not like Call of Duty. They don't have like crazy advantage really. It's just about being better and timing, honestly. Vehicle driving assistance, I would keep it on full, especially for console. It is, honestly, that's just me. Controller free look, you do want to have that on as well. Basically, when you're in the cockpit of a helicopter, you can just hold R1 and you can just look around. You're gonna actually need to do that in order to fly around anyway, so when not holding R1, you can look around, and then you just hold it to tilt the helicopter. That's it. Persistent aim down sights, definitely keep that on. Persistent items as well, same thing. I'm gonna go through all this. You're just going to leave all this stuff set to what it's set at, completely as is, and you can feel free to pause for all of this stuff. Field of view, by the way, personal preference, I prefer having it maxed out to 90. You can see more of your character, the gun, in the game. That's just me. For Game Master, leave all of this on. Controls, this is honestly what you prefer to just click on your controller. If you think like, man, this doesn't really feel like Call of Duty enough control wise, then you can go through this and just be like, that feels about right. I think this should be this, and etc. Or you can just leave it default, honestly. For controller preset, keep it to updated. Now, this might just be my opinion, but the best way to practice in this game, which yes, it takes practice, is going into the play scenarios section, and you want to find one of these. So there's the combat ops. They've also added a new game mode to this. It should be somewhere around here. Elimination. So basically, we can just load into this. These are better because it's AI instead of players. Players like to play a little dirtier than AI do. So sometimes you're going to get enemies wearing your team's outfits to blend in. Seriously, if you don't see a name tag, biggest tip is to shoot on sight. You'll know it's a teammate because when they get close to you, you'll see a name no matter what, unless you have that turned off. And then we're gonna spawn over here. This is the new elimination game mode, so we just get dropped off in the middle of nowhere, which is really crazy. Looking at our map here,
What's your position? Over. Looks like east from our objective. Got a visual on the checkpoint. Looks quiet. Over. Copy. Hold there. Call sign Hawkeye will give you the signal. Out to you. Hawkeye, do not answer. Best watch your MCON. Key your radio and acknowledge. Over.
you know what, that was actually really cool. They added new dialogue and some actual stuff for this, which is really cool. So anyway, if we check our map here, looks like what our objective is. There's land infantry over here, and this is basically the route we need to take. So what we need to do is, you're gonna want to hold right on the D-pad. You can pull our radio out, and then hold triangle, and then acknowledge.
Copy that. I read you. Infill and eliminate the tango. Call sign Disco Red 1 will create a distraction on your mark. Remember, we have a small window to get this done. Good hunting. Out.
And triangle to put that away. Alright, so there appears to be enemies down at that little town, so that's where we're gonna head. And now a little tip for you guys, if you hit right on your D-pad, you'll go into your inventory, and then from here you're in these distinctive boxes, and then from each of these you can click on it again, and then you can maneuver around, and then you hit circle, just go back, and then you're back in the boxes. It's really easy. First glance, this game seems incredibly complicated, but it's not. This game's far from complicated. Once you get down to the controls and just the basic stuff, it's just more or less about having fun at that point. which I will admit can be ruined by random players in multiplayer, but that's any game that's multiplayer. Someone can ruin it somehow, so obviously there's no avoiding that. But so we're gonna head down over here and try our best. I wonder if there's someone in that watchtower. Thankfully not, otherwise we'd have snipers looking at us. But yeah, as I was trying to say a minute ago, if you guys hit your left D-pad button, you can actually switch to your firing modes. So obviously there's semi-auto and burst on this thing. Personally, preference on a lot of the guns in this game, I'd say semi-auto, just because you're gonna, one, go through less ammo that way, and two, it allows you to be a little more accurate. Unless you're close quarters, you don't really want to be spraying and praying, especially from a distance this great. Don't want to do that. So looks like we got a BTR moving along the road here. Hopefully he doesn't see us, but he has been doing... Oh crap, does he see us? Oh crap, I hope not. What do you guys think? Do you think he sees us? He looks like he's looking right at me, right? Could be wrong. Hold on, let me take a look. Oh, he sees us. Oh crap. To be clear, the way they look at it with the AI in this game is it's more about, hey, would someone be able to realistically spot you from a distance in an open field just moving around? Probably. Then, by the way, if you didn't know, if you hover over your bandages and just hold triangle, you'll just apply them. We have to worry about now, though, is kind of crappy. So either that guy leaves us be, or he moves on. The AI are very, not indecisive. They're smart. It can be kind of weird sometimes the way, basically, they're not predictable, like, you know, Call of Duty or something. You're going to have to actually try to play tactfully. Moving slowly between buildings and making sure to utilize cover is important. Also knowing your surroundings. If you're just running into an area willy-nilly, don't expect a whole lot. All right, our site here is moving quite a lot, so we're gonna have to give it some time to steady on. We're just gonna climb over this. Actually, we can't climb over that fence. We can go in here. Now, currently we don't actually have a pistol on us, so just gonna move along here. Try our best to approach this as stealthily as possible if we can, by some crazy miraculous chance. If you were wondering how I'm doing this, by the way, not fully aiming, just like zooming in. If on your controller you hold down your left aim trigger just slightly, it'll just do that, just so you know. Where'd these guys go? Those are fast. Yeah, these guys are kind of quick. So like I said, you don't want to be sticking out. You want to try to stay as not out in the open as possible. Realize any small hills, rocks, bushes, because once you're out in enemy's line of sight, it's over for you. And I mean that sincerely. It is just over for you at that point. It's too bad, but that's the way the cookie crumbles, obviously in war. So I'm just gonna get a prone down position here. Got one. Looks like we actually dropped them. Dropped that guy. So the cool thing about this specific operation we're doing right now is our M16 has a suppressor and a scope on it, so we're able to get some long range kills. And silently, meaning these guys will notice, but the guys down the street have no idea. Well, so long as I kill this other guy, that's a big if. Also, think of zooming in as squinting your eyes and focusing in on something. All right, my dude. Ooh, looks like, oh, well, that sucks. But you guys get the gist, right? That's about it. As far as controls and everything go, we'll go into Game Master, which I'll show you guys now. So you're gonna head to the main menu. So from here, you're going to want to go to the very bottom, actually, where it says Game Master, and just pick a map. Doesn't really matter. The best way to practice in this game is Game Master, because you can place down any item in the game, weapon, enemies, vehicles, and you can just test with them and play around with them. And honestly, if you want to just make your own custom scenarios until you get fully okay with playing, then there's no shame in that. All right, so we're in Game Master now. First things first, this is, again, personal preference for me, but if you hold down your options button or pause, you'll notice you can bring up the entity editing scenario properties. So if you go to this, you change the weather to clear, it just makes everything a lot more visible. That's just like, again, personal preference, totally up to you. But now that we've looked at this, what we're gonna actually head over to do is find an area that's kind of open. So obviously the field is the best thing to do, or a road with a lot of space around it. So this seems like a good spot to start. So if we actually go into, you can do either individual enemies or friendlies, whichever, but you can actually go into these fire teams, even if you wanted. When you place them down, if you want to play as them, if you look at it and hit X and then hold square and then go over to take control like this. Apparently I had a scenario already up over here, so it looks like everybody here is already fighting. So we're just going to hit play, and it looks like we had a scenario already going. Apparently my character's legs are broken. He's having trouble standing up right now. So we place down more of these guys here, and you hit this and hit square. You'll notice you actually play as this character. I don't know why the scope's a little bugged out though. We're gonna climb over this fence really quick because you're getting shot at right now, I believe. And that's about the way you would take most of these situations. Just hip fire. Don't ADS when you're up close to someone. If someone comes around a corner and you're too busy doing this, trying to line up that shit, you're gonna die. Especially in a match with other players, they're not taking the chance. They're gonna do whatever they can. That's just how it is. This game is literally survival of the fittest. It's either you do it or they do. It's really just one or the other. If you hold triangle, you can also inspect your weapon. So for example, if you go to your armory during an actual match and you grab yourself some attachments, this is how you put them on. So for example, the scope, you would look at the top and it would allow you to do that. Bayonet, suppressors at the ending, so as compensators, flash hiders, magazines, firing mode if you want, and your safety. I think if you hit triangle again, you can switch your gun over and put the safety on somehow. There's a way to do it. There it is, weapon safety. And now if you look, the trigger, pulling my finger back, putting weapon safety on is not a good idea. We're gonna back away from this huge battle because there's a lot going on over there right now. But if we head back over here, what I was explaining was if you guys go to the vehicle section, this is just basically the best way that you can get a hold of how vehicles work in the game. So you can place down one of these, go back to the player tab, tap and hold X when you go to place them. Then you can just hold your touchpad, hit triangle, well, hold both of them. And then if you actually head over to get to the top hatch here, we can just climb up. And there we go. There's the driver's hatch. I just want to climb in and give it a second and we're almost in. And we are inside now. This looks crazy, but I guess that's because they updated the lighting. So anyway, now that we're in here, I'm not sure how to look outside of these yet. So as far as I'm aware, you got to just drive in third person. Hold down your drive button, which is R2 or the front right bottom trigger on your controller. And as you'll notice, she just goes. Can you, as the driver, man the gun? No, because that's not how these work. Not in real life anyway. So it's not Battlefield, right? The driver can't single-handedly operate a machine gun cannon while driving, because that naturally makes zero sense. However, in these scenarios, if you do want, what you can do is go to the AI tab again and find a couple of people. If you hold R1 while hovering over this and hit X, it'll put them in seats. So you go back, and what you'll notice is they're going to actually operate the guns now, all these AI. So now if we actually head down to that town where that giant battle's going, what you guys will actually end up noticing is the guy on the gun, the main gun, he's actually going to try and kill some people, which is kind of cool. So like I said, third person, apparently the only way that I'm aware of, because I don't know how to look through any of these. That's just me. If you are just getting enough Reforger now, this is actually a really good time too. We're getting pretty close to them adding mods to the game, but not only that, we recently got a new update that added new vehicles and physics, so buildings can get destroyed completely. Literally everything you're looking at can get destroyed, and which is obviously just awesome. A game that's this big and of this magnitude. Oh, watch out those sharp corners. This is another great thing for a lesson. So this kind of sucks, but in order to flip a vehicle, you need multiple people to do it. In this case, 12. It even says you need 12 people to push this vehicle over. Oh, if you're noticing, I have a grenade launcher attached to my rifle. If you want to use that, you just have to hold left on your D-pad, and then you'll notice that's it. You just shoot it, and you can just switch back whenever you want. If you're wondering why I was suggesting semi-auto over burst or full auto at distances, this is why. This is semi-auto at a distance. You can be way more accurate versus this. That's a lot of recoil, and those aren't going to hit anything at all. The only time you're going to want to put burst on is when you're ready to clear a building. So let's hop this fence really quick. And also don't, like I said, when you go into a building, don't ADS. You're not going to hit anything. Just hip fire ready. You can tell where the center of your screen is. If you see someone inside, just let loose. You're going to spend too much time doing this and missing all of your shots. Until you get better at the game anyway, that's just my suggestion. Also, if you're wondering how to go in third person, you just hold down your pause button. That's literally it. Oh, and to free look, just hold R1. So that goes with first person as well. You hold down R1 and look around. Pretty cool. Another big tip when you're in actual multiplayer, something that's kind of important is if you want to actually help your team out, you're going to have to actually play the objective. And the way you do that in the regular modes is pretty simple. You go to an area and just capture it. That's it. You'll know because it's the opposite color of your team, and that's literally how you capture it. You just have to be on the point. Oh, and if you're wondering how do you actually use your map in this game, since a lot of people have maps are obviously, as you can tell, huge. So how do I get anywhere? Well, if you hit your touchpad, you'll notice that at the bottom right of your screen, it says you're in Southern Everon near Vernon. So if we actually look, Vernon should be, so southern Everon, which this would be the southern area. So here's Vernon. We're actually right about here. If you look, there's a big building to my left. There it is. That's literally how the map works in this game. A lot of people have a lot of trouble with it, thinking it's just too hard to worry about trying to get used to. It's actually really worth it. So don't think that it's not worth it. Also, for you guys that want to make content on Arma Reforger, if you're looking, you probably realize now that they added mortars, but if you're wondering, you can use them in the Game Master. So go to your menu, go to your touchpad, go to the search bar by just using your D-pad and search up mortar. You'll see these. So what you want to do is take a combing mortar barrage as an example. You'll see the direction that it's facing. Find a place it, go back to your character. And if you look, that mortar barrage is currently leveling that forest. I want to say that being over there is immediate death. Just the explosion from those, not a direct hit, just the explosion will knock you back and potentially kill your character. If that wasn't a heli, I don't know what is. That's awesome. You don't have to sit as your character to watch that happen. You can just go and look around. If you guys weren't aware, you can use them on buildings too. So if you take the combing mortar barrage, you place one here, maybe one here, and let's get one right here, and maybe another one right there. It'll actually level these buildings any second now, and yep. Wow, the explosion from the nearby mortar shell actually flipped the APC back over. As you can tell, there's nothing left. This is it. Nothing left. Just debris everywhere. You can imagine why this would be super cool in a match of Arma. This is just awesome. Gameplay wise, this is sick. So anyway, let that satisfaction disappear for now, but as you can tell, all those trees are now gone. Nothing but exploded stumps. These are still going. And if you cannot tell, but there's these little holes in the ground where the mortar lands and blows up. Pretty cool. So other than that, there's not really like a whole lot else to the game that you need to really know. 90% of it is self-explanatory. People are going to try to tell you that the game's too hard to learn. It's not. When you load into a match, like, get your gear at the armory, head to an objective on your map. Now that you know where you are on the map, for starters, you should know where you're at when you spawn in. But if you're wondering which direction you need to go, you go to your character, double tap down on your D-pad. You actually have a compass. So for example, if you know that you're in right here, based on where we set on the bottom right, well, I want to go north. So where's north? Well, if we go pull out our compass, north is that way. That's the main road. So we know that this main road is here. So where's Vernon? Right here. So we know we're about somewhere here and we need to go north. That's literally it. And when you get too close to different places on the map, it'll just tell you you're near that place or in it. So that's about it. That's literally all you need to know for Arma Reforger. If you guys enjoyed the video, feel free to drop a like. Helps out a ton, and I make other content, so maybe go check it out. I think you won't be disappointed. That's it for the video. See y'all later. Peace out.